Welcome back! This is episode 2 of my 4-part series where I take a look back at Dragon Ball GT to see if it's worthy of all the criticism it's received since it was released in 1996. Last week's video was...
I hate this show. I really hate this show.
It could have gone better, but it's a new week and that means a fresh start. And according to both people that really like Dragon Ball GT, that's a joke, I'm joking, this could very well be the best saga of the entire series. I am of course talking about the Baby Saga. This saga chronicles 2 separate story sequences, one covering Gil's supposed betrayal of her heroes and the Tuffle engineered parasite known as Baby, which on its own sounds to me like an exceptionally fun concept for a story, and since last week's video covered a saga that can be summed up as the gang looking around for Dragon Balls while spending most of their time not looking for Dragon Balls because can, needless to say, I am decently excited for this. This week, I'll be covering episodes 17 to 40. This is Dragon Ball GT, the Baby Saga. Last week, our story ended as Gil seemingly betrayed Goku, Trunks, and Pan by leading them to his homeworld where he seems to be heralded as some sort of hero, as a key member among the ranks of General Rildo, a subordinate of Dr. Mew. As a nice change of pace, Goku and Trunks get kidnapped per Gil's instructions, leaving Pan alone to figure out some sort of plan to fix this horrible situation. Honestly, it's not a terrible cliffhanger, and now that we're all caught up, let's go! Alrighty, so this entire 23... long group of episodes I'll be watching can be split into 2 separate stories, the first acting as a sort of setup to the narrative that follows. But that's not to say that this first half can't stand on its own and isn't entertaining in its own right. That's right, if you thought I was here just to rag on GT, then I've got news for you. I actually like this part. I am not going to, nor have I ever pretended to like or dislike something simply because it's a popular opinion. I just share my own opinions as I have them. Win, lose, or draw. But on this occasion, I actually really like this part. Now, that's not to say I think it's perfect, and I most definitely have my issues with it, but compared to the first arc, it's like Ultra Instinct William Shakespeare. Right off the bat, the story establishes who the point of view character will be, what the goal is, and what Pan needs to do. This is advantageous because, now that all of that is understood by the viewer, you're now free to have fun finding wacky ways for Pan to infiltrate the compound that holds her grandpa and Trunks. And those antics are very fun, sneaking around, little bits of action here and there with plenty of characters shining through. This is GT honestly at its best for me, and it was nice seeing Pan earn a win for a change too. She eventually finds her way into the main chamber the others are being held, also finding trouble for herself. However, in doing so, inspires Goku to free himself. The next episode doesn't really offer much. It's essentially a fighting heavy episode following Goku as he dismantles the forces of General Rildo. Despite not much happening narratively, it's clear that this episode and arc is following a very different story philosophy than the original 16 that I reviewed in part 1. The next episode is where things really start to kick off, however, with some beautiful artwork capturing Goku's first altercation with General Rildo, and Pan's attempt to reclaim Trunks, whom at this time looks as though he's been frozen in carbonite. Lots of Star Wars influence in this arc, and now that I think about it, Pan even got stuck in a trash compactor in the earlier episode. Speaking of which, I should also mention while in that trash compactor she met a friendly pink alien robot. This will be important later. The fight itself between General Rildo and Goku is actually quite good. Lots of imaginative choreography and angles are implemented. Things, however, at this time don't look great for Trunks, who has been just transported to Dr. Mew's laboratory. As the story continues, Goku continues his battle with General Rildo, eventually gaining the upper hand before Rildo reveals that he is the actual planet they are on. Very reminiscent of the Dragon Ball Z movie, The Return of Cooler. While this is all happening, Pan continues in her attempts at infiltrating the compound to rescue Trunks, but without a means of teleportation to Dr. Mew, Pan is fighting a losing battle. However, she manages to run into her friend from the trash compactor she helped escape, who offers to help her in this endeavor. With some difficulty, they manage to barge into the complex, but are quickly surrounded once again. However, not one to go quietly, Pan begins charging her Kamehameha, aiming it right at Gil and an army of robots. At the last second, Gil teleports her back to the front door once again, only this time with the Dragon Balls. We quickly switch back to the fight between General Rildo and Goku as it rages on in various interesting locations until Pan rushes into the battle, showing Goku that she has the Dragon Balls. Rildo uses this distraction as an opportunity to turn both Pan and Goku into carbonite, teleporting them both to Dr. Mew also. Up until now, Gil has been helping the forces of Dr. Mew and General Rildo in their efforts to capture the Saiyans and obtain the Dragon Balls. However, suddenly, Gil unfreezes Pan and Goku, revealing his traitorous actions in the past had been a ruse in order order to get the guys closer to Dr. Mew. Trunks reveals himself to be in perfect health and to have been in on it the entire time, orchestrating this plan along with Gil in order to tamper with and destroy whatever Dr. Mew was working on. I'm not sure if I'm a fan personally of this swerve the story attempted to pull off. While it was indeed surprising, it's not surprising because it cleverly concealed the true nature of Trunks and Gil by means of well-structured writing. No, it did so by not giving any clues at all. Aside from Gil giving Pan the Dragon Balls an episode prior, surprises like this work best when it makes the audience say to themselves, oh, of course, it all makes sense now, even going back to the first episode of this season. This didn't do that for me. It's just a reveal of another piece of information I couldn't have predicted based on what the story demonstrated so far to me. That said, I don't dislike it really, it's just not what I was hoping for. After this grand reveal, Trunks leads the gang into this excessive, unnecessarily massive chamber housing an engineered parasite known as Baby. While he floats there like a good boy, Trunks reveals that he took the initiative while everyone was distracted to disarm the situation by halting Baby's development and life by way of computer virus. This, however, does not stop Dr. Mew from going full psycho trying to revive the artificial creation. While seeming futile, his efforts do bear fruit. Baby lives, exploding forth from his tank, but is quickly taken out by Goku, Pan, and Trunks. It looks over, but Baby is not done. As the gang tries to escape the planet, Baby attempts to stop them through General Rildo's body. The episode ends with Baby revealing that he designed Dr. Mew, which, to me, honestly sounds like it makes as much sense as performing brain surgery on yourself. This isn't the last time we see Baby, though. Following this, there's a collection of 2 episodes following the gang as they stumble across a spaceship wreckage holding within it a Dragon Ball. However, after arriving, Gil senses a life form on board, an unconscious young child. They quickly transport the child to a planet for aid where it's revealed that he and the rest of the ship he came from had been eliminated by Baby. Now dwelling within the young child, he attempts to take over Trunks' body, but ultimately fails in doing so because he lacked the strength. It's at this point I thought the story was going to go downhill, but it actually takes a major upswing. We hard cut to Earth and we are reintroduced to Goten and his family. I love Goten's new all about the ladies and date character. He still holds a pleasant personality, but with that quirk it adds some comedy and edge to him that I really enjoy. While out on a date, he encounters a number of individuals who have come under Baby's influence. He's made it to Earth while the gang were out gathering the remaining Dragon Balls. The fight between Baby and Goten is honestly interesting, with Goten showcasing some of his fantastic new personality. However, he ultimately falls as Baby infiltrates his body. At this point, Baby's ultimate goal is to possess Vegeta's body, the strongest fighter on Earth. So he works his way up the pecking order, securing Gohan's body also in this episode. Once Baby takes a hold of Gohan, he makes a beeline for Vegeta, who at this time is on his way back from the store with his daughter Bra. A wonderful side effect of Baby's character that hasn't been seen before is that it forces interesting matchups we wouldn't expect to see normally. An interesting rematch too between Vegeta and Gohan, who haven't fought really since he was a kid. Within this episode, it's revealed that Baby can influence the minds of those he was once within. It's also explained that he's a Tuffle creation and Vegeta recognizes him. The fight between the two is honestly quite fun with nice animation in places. Additionally, the scene works very naturally for exposition too, which is always a plus. Baby is an engineered Tuffle parasite with the former Tuffle ruler's DNA embedded within him. He can lay eggs in his former hosts to maintain control over them, and his goal is to take revenge on the Saiyan race that destroyed and stole his homeworld. And to rule the universe, because of course it is. While all this horribleness is happening on Earth, we switch back to the gang in space as they finally retrieve the last of the Dragon Balls. Once they arrive back home, it's revealed to us, but not Goku, Pan, and Trunks, that the Earth has been totally overrun by Baby and his minions. Before the gang goes their separate ways to their respective homes, they give the Dragon Balls to a possessed Dende, and Pan says her goodbyes to Gil by tying her bandana around the small robot. While this is all happening, as a quick aside, Satan had the ingenious idea of hiding inside Majin Buu. I absolutely love that. Majin Buu is immune and it makes complete sense. Very clever. Once Goku and Pan arrive home, they are ambushed by Baby's minions. But Trunks' ambush specifically had much more of an emotional weight behind it, I think. As Vegeta lures Trunks into the house, Gil's sensors are going off. Danger, danger, he says. As Baby Vegeta reveals his true intent, Gil beats him and Trunks to the punch with some missiles, catching Baby off guard, protecting Trunks. As Baby begins talking trash, insulting and threatening the small robot to stand down, Gil without hesitation reloads his missiles. Compared to pretty much everyone in this series, Gil is outmatched and he knows that. That's what makes this scene so powerful for me, and I actually got emotional when Baby took him out in the end. And it's not over. That great scene is immediately followed by the single best reveal of the arc, and this arc has a few great reveals still to come. Baby, it turns out, had control over Trunks this entire time. He didn't activate him until he brought the balls back, which is incredibly smart of him, Baby, and an exceptionally well delivered swerve by the writers. It makes complete sense from both mechanical and motivational points of view. We then switch back to Goku's situation as the fight rages on between himself and Gohan when out of nowhere, Goten tries to blindside him. This, however, is not a problem for Goku as he blocks the blast without even looking. Goku is much more serious in this arc, which I'm honestly really happy about. Satan uses this lull in the action to fill Goku in on what's happened. Every character is now up to speed and the pieces are in place. Here's hoping they can stick the landing. What follows is Goku's first encounter with Baby Vegeta. And bad news, he can't maintain Super Saiyan 3 because of his infant body. Baby, on the other hand, can absorb his servant's power, draining the energy from Goten, Gohan, and Trunks. I sincerely thought Baby Vegeta's design looked much more intimidating before this power absorption, however. This is the start of a trend, unfortunately. As Baby gets stronger, his appearance goes from looking like an intimidating, infected version of Vegeta to something that's far less interesting in terms of design and are overly complex and definitely something that takes away from the action for me. With that said, Baby easily defeats Goku. Meanwhile, Pan and Mr. Satan are safe for now thanks to Boo's powers. Baby then retires to his throne where he uses the Dragon Balls to wish for his home planet to be recreated. This is where some weird stuff starts to happen, but honestly I'm sort of into it. Goku finds himself sort of stuck in another dimension. I was worried it was a complete Deus Ex Machina, but it turns out that the Supreme Kai made a save on Goku at the last possible second before he was defeated by Baby. It's actually quite a clever idea using the Kai's instantaneous movement. During this, Goku ends up falling into another dimension, with his only means of escape being a decisive defeat of this character in a dangerous board game. It's silly, but I enjoy it for the same reasons I enjoy Snake Way's antics. Goku has difficulty initially, but finds out that that's because the other guy is an absolute cheat. Once this character's cheating is exposed, the game itself begins to fall apart and Goku manages to escape the dimension, randomly appearing in a random part of the universe. Once the Supreme Kai senses his energy, he plucks Goku and the folks he rescued from the random part of space back to safety. I really like this, and to be honest, I've really enjoyed how the story has been structured so far. It's paced well, Baby has an interesting power with a perfect motivation, the stakes feel massive, and most importantly, they are doing a great job at delivering surprises without breaking the established rules and logic of the Dragon Ball world. It's honestly very impressive. After this, Goku begins his training on the world of the Kais. While this is all happening, Pan, her grandpa, and Boo devise a plan. But in order to enact this scheme that involves laxatives, they make their way to Baby's new planet in order to get close to him and find more trouble than they bargained for. They are all attacked, and right as Pan was about to be choked out by her father, Oob makes the save. Awesome. This arc is so crazy. Oob fights Baby but quickly loses. However, during this, Boo feels a connection to Oob. He brings Satan and Pan to safety and says his goodbyes, rushing in to make the save on Oob, reuniting with him. Honestly, a really nice full circle moment for Majin Buu, and much better than what he got in Dragon Ball Super. Baby resumes his fight against Oob. While this is happening, the Kais are in the middle of trying to regrow Goku's tail. The contrast of this epic Oob versus Baby fight with Goku having pliers on his butt is hilarious. Oob makes a misstep, however, turning himself into chocolate instead of Baby. Goku, now with his tail regrown, rejoins the action to fight Baby. He goes Super Saiyan 3 from the start, but is quickly defeated. Lying in a heap, he begins staring at Earth, recalling his life there. Suddenly, Goku begins transforming into a golden Ozaru. I have an issue with this. Earth acting as a substitute for the moon is weird, and I really don't like it. Naturally, Goku has no control as the Ozaru, but Pan helps Goku regain control by showing him a picture of when she was little with him. It's pretty touching. Immediately, he begins transforming into Super Saiyan 4. I don't think I need to say this, but it's an awesome design, and it's tailor-made for the Baby Saga. It's not looking good for the parasite, but in a matter of seconds, a baby mind-controlled Bulma pulls a machine out of her butt that harnesses the Earth's blood waves and fires it at Baby, who has no tail. This is a real bad case of wanting the fight to be a certain specific way, but not having the first clue of how to get it there without breaking a number of rules. Which is a shame because it was so consistent before this. Baby begins to transform into a Golden Gozaru. On the bright side, they have a built-in excuse for Baby to be able to control this form. Vegeta knows how to, and so therefore Baby can take advantage of that. There's also a nice shot where Goku stands literally between the Earth and its destruction as Baby fires a Super Gallic gun. Goku manages to block the massive blast, however Baby has lost his senses, becoming what he hates the most, an out-of-control monster. Both Baby and Goku lie motionless, completely zapped of their energy. While this is all happening, the Kais devise a plan to use the sacred water from the Garlic Jr. arc of Z of all things to free those under Baby's control. It's a cute idea and I actually kinda like it. Using this water, Trunks is freed from Baby's control and is tasked with finishing off Baby. However, Bulma, still under Baby's control, fires more Blutz waves at Baby. This, for some reason, fully energizes him, and Goku staggers to his feet once again. While Goku is on the brink and with Pan in danger, Trunks sends a blast, knocking over Baby. Gohan, Goten, and the others also come to Goku's rescue, having been freed from Baby's control thanks to the sacred water. Goku requests that everyone give him their power, but Baby doesn't give him enough time. Suddenly, something begins happening to Baby. It's Oob, and he's alive inside of him. Apparently, he changed the chocolate on purpose to get the jump on Baby from the inside. Goku uses this time to absorb the other's energy to replenish his own. They continue to fight with Baby for an episode, and Goku blasts off his tail. But I thought he didn't need the tail with the Blutz waves. As Vegeta's body reverts to normal size, Baby for some reason remains gigantic within him, despite him being malleable for the entire arc. This is honestly a terrible way to keep Vegeta alive while removing Baby from his body. Also, I guess Baby didn't lay eggs inside Vegeta either? As a last-ditch effort, Baby tries to escape in a spaceship, but Goku stops him by blasting him into the sun. They then return the Earth to normal by spreading the sacred water. But since the Dragon Balls were not brought back in time, the Earth explodes along with Piccolo, who decided to stay behind on Earth as it exploded. He did this in order to get rid of the Dragon Balls because he believes that they cause more harm than good. And just like that, Piccolo and the Earth are gone. The story ends as they use the Namekian Dragon Balls to restore the Earth and everything back to normal. This was much more enjoyable than the first arc. In fact, that's an understatement. From the very beginning, it was obvious that there was a much clearer vision and goal for this story, and because it focused more on action with sprinkles of adventure, it felt like a much more natural continuation on from Dragon Ball Z. I also really liked the idea of Baby being a parasite, using his foe to help him mature and take control. I also enjoyed his origin and motivation, watching him slowly slip and turn into exactly what he hated most of all: foreign invader mindlessly destroying other planets and even his own in the name of his race. There were also plenty of wonderful character moments too, through Gil, Pan, Majin Buu, and even Goten. I also really liked that Super Saiyan 4 allowed Goku to be an adult. One of my biggest gripes with Goku getting turned into a kid was how his character models stunted and negatively impacted all the fights he took part in. Akira Toriyama changed Goku into an adult so that he could make use of his longer limbs, as Dragon Ball focused more and more on fighting. Stumpy limbs don't offer much in the way of interesting posing, despite making his kid self in GT skinnier than the original appearance was. Now that Super Saiyan 4 exists within the story, Goku can enjoy the best of both worlds, doing all the lighthearted stuff a kid would, but when he gets serious, it's adult time. And finally, the story managed to pull off some wonderfully written surprises too. Whether it being through Trunks' body being under the control of Baby the entire time, Boo housing Pan and Mr. Satan safely, or Oob making the save on more than one occasion. With all of that said, I think this arc still had some major problems. The swerve of Trunks and Gil being in cahoots at the beginning of the arc doesn't really land like I would have liked. Additionally, General Rildo isn't defeated, he just sort of becomes irrelevant. Also, I didn't like the Earth being used as a Blutz wave source, and Bulma creating a Blutz wave amplifier in minutes was utterly ridiculous. That was honestly probably the arc's biggest blemish for me, seeing as the plot hinges on that mechanic for Baby and Super Saiyan 4. And finally, the fight should have ended one episode sooner. It should have ended right after Oob revealed himself to be inside Baby. That was a great swerve and the height of the fight's action for me. The following episode just shows more useless one-sided fighting on the side of Goku and honestly really ruins the fight's memory and atmosphere in the end. However, with that said, despite these drawbacks, I think the Baby arc of Dragon Ball GT was very fun and in a lot of places, well thought out. I can't wait to see what the next arc has in store. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.